Hello and welcome to Traditional Painting the Digital Way. This is where I use digital painting apps to teach traditional painting techniques. This is part 3 of my Alien Baby series, and this is another painting in my series I'm calling Ellie's Oddities, where I paint some of the weird things that I've collected. And so this is a little alien baby in a cow onesie, and he also has his little cow plushie with him. And I'm using Infinite Painter for Android. And if you want to follow on with traditional materials, check out part 1 in this series, where I have a list of all the paint, the canvases, the brushes that I use when I paint traditionally. And so here I'm just kind of still working on his head, trying to get the refinement and the darks and lights there. Again, just like any still life painting, you're going to have darks and lights, and you just kind of go with the shapes and forget about what you're trying to paint here. Just concentrate on the light and the dark shapes there, and that will help you get the correct dimensions on your alien doll. And so here I'm just kind of working on smoothing out some of the grays on top of the head there, and trying to get the correct shape that he has. He has sort of an oval shape. And I'm just using gray, a darker gray and a lighter gray. And if you're following along traditionally, you can use ultramarine blue mixed with burnt sienna and white acrylic gesso, and that will help you have the different shades of gray. You just add, for lighter colors, more white acrylic gesso. For darker colors, you just leave the mixture really dark. And this mixture together, ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, will make a black color, especially if you throw purple in. And so you don't want to use just totally black, because that makes everything look flat. So his eyes are kind of a mixture of brownish black or a reddish black. And so I'm just kind of working on the shape, trying to get his nose right. Here I'm working on the brow line here, trying to get kind of a shape that looks like that it's a ridge there. We want the shadows there. We want kind of purplish shadows, and then I wanted to go ahead and add just a touch of light green and blend it in really well, just to give it those alien colors. We want grays and sort of now he's not a completely green alien, but just a hint of green, a hint of purple. That just kind of gives it the other world look, and it also adds interest to your painting and keeps it from looking flat. So I wanted to add some different colors there to him. And you can use Hooker's green with white acrylic gesso and just put that on. If you're following traditionally, just kind of dry brush it on and smudge it in really good, and just kind of blend it in with the gray color. And then here I'm working on the brow line again, trying to add some darker purple for the shadow, just to make that ridge stand out where his big bulbous eyes are. They're really big and bulbous, and you want that to give you the alien look. And then I'm working again on the curve of his head. His head is very elongated and very big, and it's bigger than his body. So you want to make sure that his head and his eyes are his biggest feature. And so I'm just working again on the edge of the head, the cheeks, trying to get the right look there. And I can add a little bit of some white, not white, but a very light gray on the edge there. And that kind of gives it a little color and a little reflected highlight in the shadows. That's what you want on the right side. The right side is sort of more in shadow than the left side, so you want a little bit of a reflected highlight on his head there. And so then I'm also working on the left side and trying to smooth those paint strokes down, make them look shiny and like it's alien textured skin. And here I'm adding a little bit more of the purple there to kind of give that ridge that's on the side of his head, the bony ridge there that it kind of caves in there on the edge to give a alien looking structure there. It sort of follows a human skull, but it's elongated and so it doesn't look quite the same. It's a lot longer, but it still kind of follows the general structure of a human skull. It's just distorted. And as I mentioned before, that's how you make alien characters and fantasy type characters, is you can start with a basis of a human skull or something that you know, an animal, and just kind of distort it and tweak it a little, but not go completely away from that shape. And then here I'm also working on the other side there where that bony ridge is and trying to get it done. And I'm using the filbert brush. I use the old oil brush. Those are sort of my favorite brushes. And then here I wanted to add those little spots. So I'm using one of the splatter type brushes there and one that makes splotches. And there are several different kinds. You can go into the airbrush category, or you can go into the watercolor category, or some of the original brushes, and find the splotches there. And I wanted to put those on. You can see them very faintly on the doll, that there is purple dots of color, and that's to give it the alien skin look. And I wanted to make sure that they're not completely round or anything. You want them to be elongated and follow the shape of his head, and also you want to smudge them in. And so I'm smudging them in and just kind of not making them look solid, making them look transparent sort of. And then here I'm working on the shape of his head again and trying to use the arc tool in Infinite Painter to get a smoother shape there, to get it more even instead of it being kind of jagged there. I'm trying to get a rounder shape going here, and you can use a paper plate or something like that if you're following along traditionally, or if you got a French curve, you can try to use it. French curve tool, you can try to use it and get that done, and just use it for his cheeks and his head. And here I'm working again on his cheeks using the arc tool and getting it more smooth and more even, trying to get both sides of his head even here. And so I'm working on that and just trying to smudge in the marks that I make, because you want to smooth them out, because the skin is going to look smooth and alien-like. And so I'm working on that and trying to add some variations of color to his skin, purples and greens and grays. You don't want it a flat solid gray. You want variations there so that it looks three-dimensional. And then I wanted to work on the pajamas. I'm starting to add lighter highlights. Again, we're still using off-white colors. You can use white acrylic gesso with a touch of cadmium orange if you're following along with traditional materials. And you just want kind of an off-white color for the moment. You don't want a pure white for the final highlights. Those are the final highlights, might be pure white, and you only use a little of those and sparingly, because otherwise it will just flatten your image out. So I'm working on trying to get the shape of his sleeve on his little pajamas there, And also, when doing that, also get the shape of his hand. And again, he only has 3 fingers and 1 thumb. So I'm trying to get that shape, and convey that it's not quite right, that it's that he has a different number of digits on his hands and feet. So I'm working on that and trying to get the cow plushie, the shape of his nose, her nose. And while I'm here, let me say this: a cow is a female, a bull is a male. So when you call something a cow, the cow is female, and the male cattle is the plural of um, cows, is cattle. A male cow, I suppose, is a bull. So you don't really call him a cow. You always call him a bull or a steer. And a steer is a neutered bull, in other words. So let me make that clear. Since, I live on a ranch, this is something that I kind of know a little bit of something about. So when you say cow, it usually means a female. When you say bull, that means a male, or a steer is also a male. And so just thought I would clear that up, since so much confusion exists out there over this, I've noticed. And if it's a baby cow, then it's called a calf. And it's called a heifer, that's a female calf, and a bull calf is a male calf. So hopefully that clears up a little bit of some confusion that seems to happen when people are talking about cows. Anyway, this is a cow, and this is a female cow. And anyway, so I'm working on it. And yes, female cows can have horns. Both males and female cows have horns in some breeds. So that's not an indicator of whether it's a male or a female, because both kinds have horns. And so she's got some little horns there, and they were actually black colored on the original plushie, but they're not showing up in the painting, so I went ahead and just made them look yellow. And you can use um, cadmium yellow light with a touch of burnt sienna, or some yellow ochre to try to give the little shape of the horns. And so anyway, I'm working on that, and trying to get sort of the spots that are over her eyes too. I want to try to get those correct. So I'm going to finish working on that in the next part. So if you want to see that, hit the subscribe button. And thanks everybody for watching. Thank you so much for your support. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments down below, and I will catch you later.